Before I came out, I would always say that she was my girlfriend and that I would marry her one day.
Turns out I just want to be her.
Yes, exactly. I just wanted to be her.
Welcome everyone to Ring the Bell. This is DS and today is my lucky day. Finally! Finally! We are here with Jake Atlas.
Hey guys.
DS's favorite.
Oh, yes. Number one in his heart.
Number one. Not even Austin Theory.
Maybe. I have some competition.
I mean, he's difficult to beat, but you are Jake Atlas. Introduce yourself to the fans.
Yeah, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? Superstar Jake Atlas. I'm glad we're finally doing this.
I know.
We've been trying to work on this for months now. I'm really excited about the topic we're going to talk about. So,
Yes.
yeah.
This is inspired by your tweet after Trish Stratus' retirement match.
When I got into wrestling and into this business, one of the things, it's always like, who made you want to become a wrestler? Who was your favorite wrestler? And you always hear things like The Rock and Stone Cold or The Undertaker. And I was always shy of saying who it really was for me. And really, who really was the inspiration for me was Trish. It was a women's wrestler. It was Trish Stratus, who to me was everything I aspired to be, just professionally and with the charisma. So
You see why he's my man? He's my man. Okay, so let's start this top 5 women that inspired Jake Atlas.
Yes.
Starting from top 5.
Number 5, I have to go with Maryse. Maryse was a huge fan of hers, and she was a huge influence as far as charisma and personality. Someone who really was not from the wrestling world or background. She had done like swim modeling and stuff like that and was coming from the Diva Search, but she took that and really turned it into something good, and that's something I respect so much. She is a 2-time Divas champion and was the longest reigning at one point.
She couldn't even speak English.
How long have you been speaking English?
6 months.
Are you kidding?
No.
She couldn't even speak English, and she was given, I don't know if you remember, but she was given a character on SmackDown to just be seductive and sexy and just be a diva, but she turned that and completely flipped it, and I believe was very talented in the ring as well. I think she just oozed charisma and was I really enjoyed that about her.
So how does that inspire your heel character?
I've always been a fan of heels. Like I've always been a fan of like the bad girls and like the mean girls, and it just looked so effortless for her. So sometimes like when I've played a heel character or whatever, I've always done like the hand gesture, like get out of my face, and it's always like a tribute to her.
Let's move to number 4.
Yeah, number 4 has definitely have to be Gail Kim. Gail Kim was very good. I really think she's one of the best women's wrestlers to ever just exist.
Yes.
And I'm glad that TNA gave her the platform to acknowledge that she is one of the best. I think her match with Tessa Blanchard was phenomenal. You know what? I think I saw this on Twitter. Like Gail Kim versus Tessa Blanchard was what Trish and Charlotte was for WWE at SummerSlam. I think that's just generational.
Yeah.
Like Gail Kim was ahead of her time. She was so good. I enjoyed her work at WWE. It was really awesome to see her just win the women's title in her debut because she was just so good. I'm really glad that she went back to Impact and TNA and solidified her stuff there.
She's legendary.
Yeah.
Legendary.
And she's beautiful. I think she's very, very, I've seen her in person. But yes.
Let's move to our top 3.
Number 3's got to be Sasha Banks.
You got a little thing going on here.
I definitely loved Sasha before I even I think during training was when she was starting it, when the women's revolution was going on. Again, just the heel character in her was just really what drew me to her, but more than anything, like she's so passionate about this, and I've never said this on any podcast or interview, so this is exclusive. The one line I always say when I'm about to go out through the curtain is, I was born to do this. And maybe other people have said this in the past, but I got it from Sasha.
I am not afraid. I was born to do this.
She's always tweeted it, and she's always posted it on Instagram, and she's always been passionate about being really good at wrestling. She was just in Japan during her break from WWE, learning more wrestling, learning new wrestling. Like she loves not only just performing, but the actual wrestling, the sport itself, and that I admire so much about her. So yeah, every time I go through the curtain, I'm always like, I was born to do this, just because like I admired that so much from her. Another quote that she always says is, "Be so good they can't ignore you, and that can't be any more truer for her. Like, she's just mentally, she's so good at wrestling, and you see that through her matches, through the psychology of what she does. The Sasha and Bailey match, one of the best matches I've ever seen.
I mean, both of you put all your body in the line for all the matches.
Yes, she does. I mean, you've seen her freaking like do her suicide dives and like take the brutal bumps. I remember her match with Charlotte SummerSlam. She took a nasty like back bump on the turnbuckle.
And the bumps you take too. Those are crazy.
But yeah, no, I love Sasha. So.
Let's go to number 2.
Number 2 has got to be AJ Lee. AJ Lee was also ahead of her time during like the Divas division, but what I really loved about her was her story. That's one thing I really connected about her. Really huge on advocating for mental health. Obviously, you learned more in detail about it through her book after WWE, but you just knew that she was meant to do this. Like, the image that always sticks out to me is when they would play the clip of her crying meeting Lita. I thought that was so cool because she ended up doing this. And I remember at Payback when she won the Divas title and when the referee handed her the belt, you just see her face as she's receiving the belt. Like, this was her moment. This was her crowning moment, her whole life's work into finally winning the top championship for WWE. I just connected to her from her FCW days when she would have the matches with Naomi, like they would kill it. And she was a great wrestler too, because I was in high school and I remember watching like the YouTube videos, the FCW YouTube videos, and looking up the AJ Lee matches and just completely marking out and then seeing her kind of
become a superstar.
Yeah, even just on the mental health issue aspect, there was a lot that I can relate to in her book that really made me realize a lot of things within myself that through doctor visits or whatever, I just couldn't kind of grasp my head around. And I was like, whoa, these feelings make sense, and I totally understand where she's coming from, and I can relate. It was very relatable to me.
Let's go to our top pick.
Yes, number 1, as we talked about earlier, it's Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus is the love of my life. I remember before I came out, I would always say that she was my girlfriend, and that I would marry her one day.
Turns out I just want to be her.
Yes, it turns out I just wanted to be her. She's the best of all time, I think, of the women. You know, when it comes to just the overall package, she had it. Like, she was a superstar. She was the standard, you know, of what you needed to be, like a superstar to the masses, to the mainstream audience. She did it all. She did press. She did, she in Canada, she was a celebrity. She was always doing interviews. She was on Mad TV. Like, she was a mainstream superstar, and it was just so cool to see her, just like I was saying with Maryse, just taking something that wasn't what her path was and then transitioning that into becoming this legendary WWE superstar. Like, that is insane. But I mean, when she wrestled Lita in the main event for Raw, I did not watch that match live because as I was prepping to watch Raw that night, something happened at home. I don't remember what, that I got in trouble.
Okay.
And so I was punished and I could not watch it. So
that night?
Yes, that night. And my mother, she pulled the plug on the TV. She didn't pull the plug on the TV, but like, she said, "You're not watching wrestling tonight because you messed up." I forget what it is that I did. I was a pretty bad kid.
Historic
but
night.
it was and I remember crying my eyes out when I found out that she lost the title. And I remember telling my mom, "It's your fault. Like, it's your fault she lost the title because I didn't watch. Had I watched, she would have retained the title." I was very, very passionate. She just made me feel everything about pro wrestling. Like, she made me feel it all. Like, she made me cry. I cried in her retirement match. I cried in her return. Like, I cried for the Trish and Charlotte match. Like, this was my person. This was my go-to wrestler. You made me feel this about wrestling. Everyone's got their person. Everyone's got their wrestler that made them feel connected to this business, and she was that to me. Every time I come out with the championship, I always wear it around my shoulder because she would do that when she was a heel.
The best
Yes,
Trish,
the best of Trish. I agree wholeheartedly. Some of the best promos ever. I thought her promos against Christy Hemme were legendary. She was such a bee. Like, she was so mean. I loved it. I'll like bow now, and because that's something that she would do as a heel as well.
Yeah.
So little things like that.
Well, that was top 5 women that inspired Jake Atlas to superstar.
Yes,
Thank you so much for going down the list with us. You recently posted it. It's a little kid wearing Jake Atlas rainbow t-shirt.
Yes. Did you see that? That was so cool. I was in tears.
You're inspiring the next generation of people, and they look up to you and they're like, he is my superstar.
Yes, that's why I thought it was so important to talk about the Trish stuff, because now through social media, people are speaking out now about how they're huge women's wrestling fans. There's a lot of little LGBT fans that are younger, kids that identify as LGBT and are mainly only women's wrestling fans, and I'm just like, dude, like, be you. And then they see me and they're like, whoa, like, I can finally watch the guys because I feel like I can relate, or I whether it's because they think I'm hot or because they think I'm a good wrestler, whatever.
Caught me.
whatever it is, but they're watching is what's important. And to see a kid wear like a pride logo, kid, like, I would never have the courage to do that when I was a kid.
It's honestly like the first era where I feel like I can relate to men's wrestling, which is great.
Yes.
I'm very thankful that you and a lot of wrestlers are starting that era.
Yeah. It's a trend that's happening, and I'm glad that, because I always see that all the time. It's so funny. I would always go on Diva Dirt when I was in high school, and I would never participate, but I would always look at the comment. Y'all are wild. But I was always look at the comment. Y'all are crazy. And you guys would always like talk so much smack about the men, and I understand the animosity sometimes that we feel as gay fans of wrestling towards men's wrestling, because it's like, we're not acknowledged, we're not a part of it, we're not. But now, more and more it's happening. I'm definitely leading the charge. I'm gonna make it to WWE and just trying to get to NXT, so we'll see.
Tell the LGBTQ kids watching right now, what do you want to tell them?
Definitely just keep being true to you, and don't be shy of what you love or what you enjoy. Scream it off the top of your lungs, because you have the world ahead of you, and literally things are getting better, and it gets better, and you're gonna be okay, and please go at your own pace. Don't be pressured to be someone you're not, or say something that you don't feel comfortable saying yet. Do anything that you do in your life for you and for you only, because at the end of the day, when you go to bed at night, you go to bed with yourself and your thoughts and your own self-awareness. So I love you guys, and I want you guys to be happy. Yes, no, I'm glad we did it.